Hey everybody, this is Waylon Baird here, and welcome back to Sandy Creek Outdoors. In this week's East Texas Fishing Report for Thursday, August 13th, 2026. It's August, and it is hot, and if you're waiting until lunchtime to start looking for fish, you're probably making things harder on yourself. The theme this week is pretty simple: go deep or go early. Take advantage of that early morning feeding window, and when the sun gets up and that bite starts disappearing, don't assume the fish quit biting. A lot of times they simply move deeper. We've all got 2 new lakes joining this week after getting requests from local anglers, and we're adding Lake Striker and Lake Jacksonville to our weekly lineup. So let's see what's happening around East Texas. Starting on Lake Fork, water temperatures are running in the low to mid 90s. Bass are being found in roughly 15 to 26 foot of water around lake points, humps, and bridge structure. Carolina rigs, Texas rigs, and drop shots have all been producing. Crappie are holding around deeper brush in roughly 20 to 25 foot of water, with minnow and jigs being good options. Get after the bass early, then start backing off towards the deeper structure as the sun gets higher. Over on Lake of the Pines, water temperatures are running in the mid to upper 80s. The crappie bite continues to be worth watching, with fish relating to brush and structure around about the same of 18 to 20 feet of water. Minnows and small jigs are good options there. Bass fishermen should concentrate on main lake points and creek channel edges once the morning bite begins to slow. At Lake Hawkins, start around vegetation and shoreline cover early in the morning. As the sun gets higher, work towards the outer edges of that vegetation and deeper structure. Bluegill are an important part of the forage there, so natural colors and green pumpkin presentations are good choices. Crappie anglers should be looking towards deeper brush and submerged structure. And on Lake Gilmer, looking for bass around timber, vegetation, and shallow cover during the early morning hours. As the day warms up, move towards deeper structure and the outside edges of cover. Crappie fishermen should concentrate on that submerged timber and brush, particularly where that cover sits close to deeper water. On Lake Gladewater, hit shoreline cover and isolated vegetation early. Once the sun gets overhead, start working towards deeper structure. Crappie should be relating to that deeper structure and cover, while catfish remain an option around the deeper flats and creek channels. At Winsboro, bass fishermen should start on points and shallow structure early before following those same points towards deeper water. Crappie anglers should concentrate on deeper timber and brush. For catfish, look towards deeper flats and channel edges. On Lake Hallbrook, it's been recently sitting low to mid 80s for surface temperature. Fish shallow, cover early, then start working deeper as the morning progresses. Crappie should be around the deeper brush and timber, and for bass fishermen, this is one of those lakes where I will definitely give this week's bait of the week some time. We'll get to that in just a minute. Over on Bob Sandlin, bass are relating to deeper points, humps, bridge structure, and areas that provide quick access to deeper water. Texas rigs, Carolina rigs, drop shots, and jigs are all worth throwing. And we're keeping a piece of first-hand information in this report that local guide Ronnie Moss shared with us. Don't overlook the bridge for crappie. Try those brush piles with a jig tipped with a minnow. We appreciate Ronnie sharing that information with us last week. Over on Lake Cypress Springs, the crappie bite has been one of the best stories lately. Fish have recently been reported around 19 feet. Minnows and small jigs around brush and submerged structure are good options. Bass fishermen should start around shoreline cover early before moving towards deeper points and structure. On Lake Tyler, starting around docks, shoreline cover, and points during the early morning hours. As the sun gets higher, move towards deeper points, creek channel edges, and submerged structure. Crappie anglers should search deeper brush and timber, while catfish remain an option along deeper flats and creek channels. Up on Wright Patman, there's plenty of submerged timber to work with. For crappie, search the timber and brush with minnows or small jigs. Bass fishermen should concentrate on creek channel edges, points, and offshore structure, especially anywhere timber intersects with a good depth change. And now to one of the new additions, Lake Striker. Was specifically requested by one of our anglers this week, so we're adding it to the report. With August heat, get out there early. Bass fishermen should start around points and timber and shallow cover before moving towards deeper points, creek channels, and submerged structure. Texas rigs, Carolina rigs, and football jigs are all a good option. Crappie fishermen should search timber and brush with minnows or small jigs, and if you're fishing striker regularly, we'd love to hear what you're seeing. Our second reader request this week was Lake Jacksonville. Let's start around the docks, shoreline cover, and points during the early feed window, as the sun gets higher and follows those areas towards deeper structure. Texas rigs, Carolina rigs, shaky heads, and football jigs are all worth trying. Crappie anglers should concentrate on deeper brush and submerged structure. Again, if you're fishing Jacksonville, please send us a report. The more first-hand information we can get from local anglers, the better we can make this every week. On Lake Athens, fish vegetation, shoreline cover, and points early. Late in the morning, move towards outside grass edges, deeper points, and offshore structure. Slow down your presentation as the day progresses. Crappie anglers should concentrate on brush and submerged structure in deeper water. Over on Lake Nacogdoches, vegetation is going to be important. Start around shallow vegetation and cover early before moving towards outside grass edges, deeper timber, and creek channel structure. Texas rigs and jigs are both good options once the fish move deeper. And remember to check the current special bass regulations for Lake Nacogdoches before keeping any fish. And finally, Toledo Bend. Bass fishermen should concentrate on points, ledges, and creek channels and deeper timber after the morning feeding period begins to slow. Deep diving creek baits, Carolina rigs, Texas rigs, and jigs can produce all around that offshore structure. Crappie should be around the deeper timber and brush, while catfish can be targeted along the creek channels and deeper flats. All right, this week's tip goes right along with our theme. Go deep or go early. Here's the situation. You pull up on a point at daylight and catch 1, 2, 3 bass. Then 8:30 rolls around and suddenly you can't catch a bite. Before you crank up that outboard and run halfway across the lake, back the boat off. Those fish may not quit feeding. They may have just simply moved out. Follow that point towards deeper water and look for the first significant drop, creek channel edge, brush pile, timberline, or change in bottom composition. The fish you caught shallow at daylight may only be a short distance away. Follow the fish deeper. And that brings us to this week's bait of the week. The football jig with a crawl trailer. We're going with a 3/4 inch football jig and a green pumpkin, PB&J, or a natural crawl pattern. Pair it with a crawl style soft plastic trailer and fish it on about 15 to 17 pounds of fluorocarbon with a medium to heavy casting rod. This isn't something we're trying to burn through the water. Cast beyond your target, let that jig go all the way to the bottom and drag it up slowly. Pay attention to what the jig is telling you. Rock, shell, timber, a drop off, any change in the bottom can be the spot where those fish are holding. And if the dragging isn't getting bites, give it a couple short hops or thumps and let the fall right back down on it. Sometimes the sudden fall is exactly what it takes to trigger a reaction bite. And that's your Sandy Creek Outdoors East Texas Fishing Report for August 13th, 2026. Remember, go deep or go early. And I want to keep building these reports around the people who actually fish these lakes. Lake Striker and Lake Jacksonville are in this week's report because you asked for them. So if you've been on the water, send us what you're seeing. You don't have to give away your honey hole. Just give us the lake, approximate depth, species, bait, and any information you would like to provide. We'll take that information and use it to make next week's report even better for East Texas anglers. Be careful in this August heat. Drink plenty of water, wear your life jacket, and get out there early. Until next Thursday, tight lines, and God bless from Sandy Creek Outdoors. We'll see you next week out there on the water.